Ever since BMW launched the F900XR and F900R with an 895cc version of the company's parallel twin engine back in 2020, it's been clear the F850 GS would be following suit eventually. For 2024, that's precisely what's happened. But as well as the new engine, the renamed F900 GS gets a completely new look and a substantial reduction in weight, as well as revamped suspension and electronics. The headline change for the F900 GS is right there in its name. Instead of the 853cc parallel twin of the F850 GS, there's the 895cc version that was previously in the F900R and XR. In fact, it's even more powerful in the F900 GS, putting out a claimed 105 horsepower, 10 horsepower more than the old 850 GS could manage. The peak arrives at 8,500 revolutions per minute, 250 revolutions per minute higher than before and reflecting the sportier state of tune. Despite the extra cubes, there isn't such a big increase in torque, which rises from 67 9 pound-feet to 68 6 pound-feet and arrives at 6,750 revolutions per minute instead of 6,250 revolutions per minute. Although the peak only rises slightly, BMW says the F900 GS has more torque across the rev range, giving a notable improvement in acceleration compared to the 850. The extra capacity comes from a 2 mm increase in bore, up from 84 mm to 86 mm, while retaining the same 77 mm stroke as before. A revised cylinder head, new forged pistons to replace the old cast alloy ones, and an increased 13:1 compression ratio up from 12:7 are aided by a standard-fit Akrapovic exhaust silencer in the pursuit of power. There are two riding modes as standard, road and rain, that perform the usual job of altering power delivery to suit conditions, and the GS gets BMW's dynamic traction control as standard to keep a rein on the power. While BMW hasn't changed the essence of the welded, sheet steel frame that the F900 GS inherits from its predecessor, the new bike gets a redesigned rear subframe that helps cut 4 kilograms from its weight, as well as a new luggage carrier. At the front, the Showa forks are new as well. Like the old model, they're 43 mm upside downers, but now there's 230 mm of travel instead of 204 mm. Promising a substantial boost in off-road ability. Preload, compression and rebound are all adjustable. At the back there's a new aluminium swing arm that's 250 grams lighter than its predecessor's version, bolted to a rear shock with adjustable rebound and hydraulically adjustable preload. Splash out on the optional Enduro Pro Pack and you get titanium nitride coated 45 mm Showa forks and a fully adjustable Sachs rear shock, as well as different bars and risers. Even more important than the updated suspension, though, is the F900 GS's weight loss. Altogether, the bike is 14 kg lighter than its predecessor at 219 kg. Much of that comes from the new plastic fuel tank that replaces the old metal one. It's also more compact and half a liter smaller than before with a 14.5-liter capacity. That weight loss doesn't just promise improved performance and handling but also takes a load off the brakes, which are largely the same as the previous model with two 305 mm discs at the front and two pot floating calipers, aided by a 265 mm rear disc and single piston caliper. What does change is the addition of BMW Motorrad ABS Pro, which is BMW's cornering ABS system. On board, the 2024 F900 GS gets a reworked riding position compared to the old 850 with 15 mm taller bars and 20 mm lower Enduro foot pegs, along with the new fuel tank, making for a more spacious position. As before, the gear lever is adjustable and can be switched between two positions, one for standing up when riding off-road, the other for when you're seated. The 2024 bike also gets a new rear brake lever, 5 mm higher than before and with a folding section to change its height by 20 mm to switch between on and off-road riding. With the new suspension and styling, the standard seat height rises by 10 mm compared to the old model going to 870 mm. But there are multiple options to help accommodate riders of different sizes in the form of lowered suspension and taller or lower seats. In its lowest form, the F900 GS can be spec'd to have a seat height of only 815 mm, while the high Raleigh seat can raise it to 890 mm. In terms of economy, BMW claims 64 mpg, a fraction down on the 67 mpg of the old 850, and along with the 500 ml reduction in fuel capacity, that means the theoretical range drops from 221 miles to 204 miles between fill-ups. With its all-new styling, the F900 GS gains a new LED headlight promising a better spread of illumination than before, and there's a standard fit multifunction holder added above the dash that can be used as a bracket for phones, nav systems or action cams. The display itself is carried over from the previous model but is still a modern large, 6.5-inch TFT that incorporates phone connectivity and can be operated by a multi-controller on the left-hand bar. The Bluetooth connectivity works without the need to download any apps, but to add turn-by-turn navigation you'll need to have the BMW Motorrad connected app on your phone. Keyless Go is an option, operating the ignition, steering lock and fuel filler as well as the alarm based on the proximity of the key, so you can leave it in your pocket. The F900 GS itself comes in 3 trims. The basic model in Blackstorm metallic paint features black fork tubes and a gray tank cover with black wheels and red trim elements. There's also a Passion model in Sao Paulo yellow with a red subframe and radiator trims, and a GS Trophy version with white or blue paint, which also gets handguards, an alloy engine guard, tinted screen and gold wheel rims as standard.